I'll pick up where Bandhopadhyay left. In fact, I'll go slightly backward, way back to early 70s, when solar was primarily for space application. And in India, we started at that time. When the first oil crisis started, that was the time India started working in this area. And I was fortunate enough to start working in this at that time itself. And today, I am leading ONGC Energy Center, which is set up by an oil company. That shows how the convergence of hydrocarbons with renewables have started taking place in India. And I must say that all leading hydrocarbon companies in the country, they are deeply engaged in renewables at this moment of time. Now the topic of today's panel discussion is new perspective. So I would not like to focus on the current issues that we have been discussing over the last few days. When we talk of new perspective, what are we looking for? Today, for the country, there is a target of 175 gigawatt. Once this is over, what next? Maybe the next target is 300 or 350 gigawatt. The point is, share of the renewables is expected to go on. We have been talking about reduction in the sale price. But more important is that if renewable have to be integrated in the mainstream, it must make economic sense. And when we talk of economic sense, that means parity. In fact, we started the word grid parity when the National Solar Mission was launched. This grid parity is artificial. When we talk of parity, that means whatever treatment is being given to the conventional power, same should be available to renewables. The preferential treatment should go away. That's what it should be in future. Then only renewables become a sustainable source. As long as there is some preferential treatment, the moment that policy is withdrawn, the setback will start coming in. We have seen it in past. And among various policy measures, the one policy which has recently come, that has helped as a first beginning step, that is GST. Some amount of transparency and openness in the sector has started coming in. Now, where will renewable go and how will it go? So ultimately, we have to look for sustainability. We talk about environmental benefits. I remember right in the beginning, Mr. Razdan talked about renewables also in that context. We talked about storage. So when storage becomes sizable, disposal will come as an important issue. Solar modules, after they complete 20 years, 25 years, disposal will become an issue. So it's not that everything is green. We have to be careful about these aspects right at this stage so that by the time it becomes reality, we are fully prepared. Everybody has been talking about need of storage because solar power is not dispatchable. Now, what are the options we have? One is battery-based storage. Everybody is talking about lead-acid batteries or lithium-ion batteries. The moment we talk of these materials, we have to see what is the availability, how long we can go. So we have to look for other options where material availability is not an issue. And focus of the technology and research should be to make those alternatives commercially attractive. So, for example, aluminum air batteries. That is one of the options. That has already started emerging at the pilot scale. So, you are not going for a material like lithium, where availability is going to be a big challenge. Then, why are we looking only at PV as a technology options in solar? We should also look at solar thermal. Today it appears to be expensive. But look at the other aspect. Sir, you have been seeing that in last couple of years, the PLF of our coal-fired plants is gradually coming down. It's already less than 60%, and this year it is expected to be close to 50% or so. And if share of renewables is increasing, this is expected to further go down. Why not we start thinking in terms of a meaningful integration of solar thermal with coal-fired thermal plant? So the same boiler can be used, coupled with thermal storage. And this is one area where in India, we have been able to do significant work. We have been able to develop certain salts which melt at 120 degrees centigrade and decompose at 680 degrees centigrade. So that means more heat can be stored and extracted. The cycle life is also significantly higher in comparison to electrochemical storage batteries. This can fit into the existing ecosystem. Now, thermal storage has other advantages. It can be used at other places also where heat requirement is there. And it can also be used for production of hydrogen. There is a method called thermochemical splitting of water, where if you have heat at about 550 degrees centigrade or so, that can be obtained from solar or nuclear power plant. It can produce hydrogen at a very competitive rate. And just to give you an idea, a 600 megawatt thermal plant can produce about 7 tons hydrogen per day. So if we are thinking in terms of a paradigm shift in the transport sector, where EVs will come, whether it is battery-based or fuel cell-based, we will require new type of storage and hydrogen. And that's why these modern techniques, which are in the development stage, they will come. And I'm happy to share that specifically these two technologies, my center has been involved in the development, and we have successfully developed, and we hold international patents for that. Now, coming to the other thing, again going back to the first thing, that share of renewable is increasing. The major issues which our utilities will face is load management. So now we have to think in terms of smart load management. We have been talking about tariff being based on the time of the day. We can also think in terms of tariff and the loads to be dependent on the energy source which is available. For example, renewable sources, they can meet load for agriculture sector, domestic sector, commercial sectors, heating applications, and without expanding the coal-fired thermal power generation, that can be kept reserved primarily for industrial applications. So if that kind of management can come, various problems relating to scheduling of power, low plant factors, all these can be addressed to a large extent. And as long as a user is ensured about the availability, he's least bothered that where from that electricity is coming. For example, in agriculture sector, if a farmer knows 9 to 5 he is going to get water for irrigation, he is least bothered whether it is coming through a solar pump or through a electric driven pump or a diesel driven pump. So if this kind of smart load management can be considered, what we are thinking in smart cities, it will help us long way in future where the share of the renewables will go up considerably. Now, if this kind of ecosystem has to come, other than technology, for sustainability, what is required is manufacturing. Manufacturing is one aspect where rather than subsidies and other incentives, more important is the policy should be such that it gives business opportunities to the person who is investing into manufacturing with certain assurance. If that can happen, then for the entire ecosystem, investment will come. I think this is what Rajendra was also saying on the first day. So, what Vivek said about astrologer, basically what is important is in these kind of things, technology forecasting and also techno-economics forecasting. We have seen that as a successful model in our country itself. 2010, when the National Solar Mission was announced, based on certain techno-economic projections, the idea of grid parity of solar was coined at that time. We have already achieved that at a time frame shorter than what was projected. So for future also, probably we should make an attempt on integration of renewables into mainstream so that it is not considered as an alternative. It is considered as one of the commercial options available for a distributing company or a consumer to opt for.